10th April. On this day in 1912, the RMS Titanic set sail on her maiden and only debut, and 5 days later got involved in one of the deadliest peacetime maritime disasters in modern history, resulting in over 1,500 deaths. On this day in 1912, RMS Titanic set sail from Southampton, England on her maiden and only voyage. RMS Titanic was a British passenger liner operated by the White Star Line that sank in the North Atlantic Ocean in the early morning hours of April 15, 2012. 1912, after striking an iceberg during her maiden voyage from Southampton to New York City. Of the estimated 2,224 passengers and crew aboard, more than 1,500 died, making the sinking one of modern history's deadliest peacetime commercial marine disasters. RMS Titanic was the largest ship afloat at the time she entered service and was the second of 3 Olympic-class ocean liners operated by the White Star Line. The ocean liner carried some of the wealthiest people in the world, as well as hundreds of immigrants from Great Britain and Ireland, Scandinavia, and elsewhere throughout Europe, who were seeking a new life in the United States. The first-class accommodation was designed to be the pinnacle of comfort and luxury, with a gymnasium, swimming pool, libraries, high-class restaurants, and opulent cabins. Although Titanic had advanced safety features, such as watertight compartments and remotely activated watertight doors, it only carried enough lifeboats for 1,178 people, about half the number on board and 1/3 of her total capacity due to the maritime safety regulations of those days. The ship carried 16 lifeboat davits, which could lower 3 lifeboats each, for a total of 48 boats. However, Titanic carried only a total of 20 lifeboats, 4 of which were collapsible and proved hard to launch during the sinking. After leaving Southampton on the 10th of April 1912, Titanic called at Cherbourg in France and Queenstown, now Cobh in Ireland, before heading west to New York. On April 14th, 4 days into the crossing and about 375 miles, 600 kilometers, south of Newfoundland, she hit an iceberg at 11:40 p.m. ship's time. The collision caused the hull plates to buckle inwards along her starboard side and opened 5 of her 16 watertight compartments to the sea. She could only survive 4 flooding. Meanwhile, passengers and some crew members were evacuated in lifeboats, many of which were launched only partially loaded. A disproportionate number of men were left aboard because of a women and children first protocol for loading lifeboats. At 2:20 a.m., she broke apart and foundered with well over 1,000 people still aboard. Just under 2 hours after Titanic sank, the Cunard liner RMS Carpathia arrived and brought aboard an estimated 705 survivors. The disaster was met with worldwide shock and outrage at the huge loss of life, as well as the regulatory and operational failures that led to it. Public inquiries in Britain and the United States led to major improvements in maritime safety. One of their most important legacies was the establishment of the International Convention for the Safety of Life at Sea, SOLAS, in 1914, which still governs maritime safety. The wreck of Titanic was discovered in 1985, more than 70 years after the disaster. During a Franco-American expedition and U.S. military mission, the ship was split in 2 and is gradually disintegrating at a depth of 12,415 feet. Thousands of artifacts have been recovered and displayed at museums around the world. Titanic has become one of the most famous ships in history, depicted in numerous works of popular culture, including books, folk songs, films, exhibits, and memorials. Titanic is the second largest ocean liner wreck in the world, only beaten by her sister, HMHS Britannic, the largest ever sunk. However, she is the largest sunk while in service as a liner, as Britannic was in use as a hospital ship at the time of her sinking. The final survivor of the sinking, Milvina Dean, aged 2 months at the time, died in 2009 at the age of 97.
History Desk TV. Explore the past, analyzing the future.